Hello, so I read a total of 16 books this week, and without much further ado, let's get into the vlogs of me talking about them. Hello, so I just read Winterwood by Shea Earnshaw, and I gave it 3.75 stars. It's about a girl who lives in the woods, a cabin with her family. Her name's Nora. She comes from a long line of walkers, which is sort of their surname, but they're basically witches. They all have their own powers. And one day with her pet wolf, she finds a boy in the forest named Oliver, and then she sort of gets caught up in this dodginess with some boys who are going to a camp across the lake. And there's a twist, but I did see the twist coming immediately. As soon as she meets Oliver, I sort of guessed what was going to happen, and I was correct. I did enjoy my time though. It's very sweet, it's slow, it's quiet, it's cozy, it's very wintry, but it's sort of missing something that would make it a 4-star and above. But otherwise, I did think it was pretty alright. Hello, so I'm currently reading Do I Feel Better Yet? Questionable Attempts at Self-Care and Existing in General by Madeline Trebenski, and it's really funny. So I'll just read you some examples. Adaptogens are a wide range of weird, dusty plant materials you can add to your $15 cold-pressed celery juice to make it a $20 cold-pressed celery juice. Or, are you truly experiencing a craving for hot, sticky cinnamon rolls? Or has Tom Hiddleston's portrayal of Loki just made you crave a toxic bad boy with a warm, gooey center? Oh, that's the doorbell. I got this little cup and saucer set from Sharon McLeod. So that's the plate. And this is the inside of the cup. But it's super cute. Hello, so I just finished reading Do I Feel Better Yet? And I gave it 4.5 stars because it was so unexpectedly funny. I had such a great time. I laughed so friggin' much, way more than I did at any of the nominees in the humour category for the Goodreads Choice Awards, let me tell you. So basically, this woman is just going off on a bunch of different topics. I feel like she was a little harsh on the yoga instructors, maybe went a little bit too hard on them. But there's a whole bunch of things like romantic tropes, workplace hustle culture, misogyny, diet culture, just a whole smorgasbord of sort of life topics, and her just hilariously slamming them, the absolute ridiculousness of some things in life. And I had a great time. It was so nice to be laughing out loud and have a smile on my face the whole time. And even the bits that I read out to you the other day weren't even the funniest. If I could just read the whole book out loud to you, I would, because that's how much I enjoyed it. And then I read Self-Care for Life by Skye Alexander. So with this one, you're meant to read it on a daily basis. So every day you'd get a quote followed by 3 sections with life advice and tips on body, mind, and spirit. So I did read this over a course of like a week, which is not how it's intended. If I did have the book, it would be really fun just to go through every day and read what they have there. It's got a great like breadth of topics, and I took a lot from it, to be honest, especially like there's some sex life sort of things on how to like spice up your romance and reconnect in your relationship. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually a great idea. I might put that into practice. So I definitely did get something from it, which is why I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. It's great for what it is. I just got a delivery in of yarns from Great Southern Yarn, and I'm very excited to play with them. Hello. So I just read the Travelling Cat Chronicles, and I chose to DNF it after halfway. I find that with translated works, everyone that I have read, I just don't connect to it. It just feels like there's a lack of emotion in the writing. The writing tends to be very simple, and it's like it's a facsimile or a photocopy of an original. It just doesn't feel authentic. And so for me, yeah, it was the same case with this story. Even though the premise was cute about an owner having to find a new home for his cat, it didn't feel right to me. So I did DNF it. Hello, so I just read Malice, which is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. The main character's name is Alice, they call her Malice. She's sort of half villa, which I think is meant to be like a demon, and she can only do like sort of dark magic and curses. And then she meets Aurora, the princess who's fated to die unless she's kissed by her true love. There's a sapphic romance in this I was very happy about. I definitely wanted that to go down. And for me, I gave it 3.75 because the story and the characters were great. The writing, however, was not for me. I almost DNF'd this. I was so close to DNFing it. And then Alice met this sort of intriguing character in a tower. And I thought, okay, my interest is piqued. I'll continue reading. But I'm not going to continue the series. It did take a dark turn. Some things happened that I'm not happy about. I kind of wanted a happy ever after ending, but obviously this is a duology and it continues on. But because I don't like the writing that much, I'm not going to continue it. But yeah, it was fun in terms of the plot and the characters and the twist on the retelling of Sleeping Beauty. Hello, so I just read The Land of Never After, which is a Peter Pan retelling. In this one, there is a gender twist, which I did like. I thought that was really cool. Pan is stuck in a 12-year-old's body, even though they are much, much older than 12, so that was a bit creepy. I liked Hook's character the most. He was very interesting. With Wendy, I'm glad that she had a bit more spunk, a bit more spine, was a bit more bloodthirsty. But yeah, the reason I gave it 3 stars is the writing wasn't really for me, and it was the killing curse with the zombies and stuff. It just wasn't my jam, but yeah, overall it's a decent time. Hello, so the next book I read is called Rainbow Grey. This is a children's book. It has frayed edges. There are some really amazing editions of this out there. It has illustrations, which my kids just absolutely love. It definitely kept their attention. It's about these weatherlings that have different powers. So they've got different elemental powers. Some of them have rain, sun, wind, all that sort of jazz. Rainbow Grey was born with no powers, but she's trying to sort of uncover the mystery of what happened to the rainbow weatherlings. So there were these weatherlings that had powers of the rainbow. They were able to use other people's powers, and they all sort of just went missing or extinct. And yeah, my kids absolutely loved it. The best character in this, their favorite character in this, is Nim, the spontaneously combusting cloud cat. They absolutely adored him. It's a really fun read. My 8-year-old was riveted. Like I said, the illustrations really helped keep her attention, and my 11-year-old also loved it. So I absolutely highly recommend this series for kids or middle graders. Hello, so I thought I'd show you my little haul. Excuse the cats scratching in the background. Kitties! So I got these milk chocolate honeycomb nibbles, so all of this stuff is vegan. They had a lot of like Christmas kind of flavored things, so I got these turkey and stuffing chips, also vegan. Hello. These marshmallows in pumpkin spice gingerbread latte and mochaccino. I'm really excited for that. Some Booyah Booyah honeycomb caramel truffles. I love that brand. They really melt in the mouth. Tony's candy cane chocolate for my partner. I also saw these oat milk chocolates, so I thought I'd give them a try. We've got rose fondants because I'm obsessed with anything rose flavored. I also saw these like shiitake mushrooms, so these chips, gonna try them out. And then I got this book from the library, and I think it has, yeah, color pictures in it. So I thought it was a little sort of Christmassy thing. So I just finished Snow and Rose. It's a very sweet little fairy tale about 2 girls, 2 sisters, and some animals as well. The illustrations were really beautiful, so I gave it 4 stars overall. It's a very cute middle grade book. Hello, so the next book I'm going to read is The Luminaries. So this was the Our Crate edition I got, which has like this dark blue sprayed edges, and it's got some end papers. So just thought I'd show you what it looked like because it is pretty. It is pretty. But yeah, I did cancel the subscription because, you know, it's expensive getting it shipped to Australia. So that's the Luminaries, and it's like a nice rose petal finish. And I also started crocheting a top. So I'm going to do a little crop top. It's my first little boob that I've crocheted, but so far I am very happy. Hello, so I'm coming to ask all of my Aussie viewers if there are any book subscription places that have custom editions of books. So books that have sprayed edges, have custom covers, have end papers. So, you know, extra fancy books as part of a book subscription, especially fantasy. Because obviously there's plenty of American and UK ones, but I don't want to be shipping them in. That's just too expensive and I don't like the environmental impact of that. But so far I have not found any online, any book subscription boxes for Australia that have like special editions, exclusive editions. If there are, please let me know. And even if there aren't book subscriptions with exclusive editions, where can we buy exclusive editions in Australia? Every time I go to like readings or gimmicks or whatever, the books are just standard. Like I never see ones with sprayed edges in Australian stores or, you know, special end covers or anything like that. Please let me know if there are book places that sell these sort of exclusive fancy editions or not. And if there are book subscriptions that do, I would be forever in your debt. Oh, so I just finished reading The Luminaries. And in this book, you follow Winnie and she's training to become a luminary, and they basically protect people against nightmares, and nightmares are things like werewolves and basilisks and banshees and all that jazz. Her father was found to be a witch, part of the Dianas, and they're sort of like the enemies of the luminaries, so he's gone and they've been sort of cast out, blacklisted, and she's trying to get their honor back by becoming a luminary on her 16th birthday, where she has to undergo these 3 trials. And yeah, look, it was okay. It's a bit young for me. She's 16, she's in school. I kept reading it because I wanted to find out, like, her friend Jay seems a bit dodgy. I think there's something going on with him. You don't find that out. I wanted to find out more about her dad, and is he really as bad as they're saying he is? You don't really find out about that. So it obviously continues on. I'm not going to be continuing the series. Like I said, it's just too young for me, but I can see why people would enjoy it. But there's not a whole lot of like character development really, and it's very fast paced. Like she just goes through all the 3 trials pretty quickly in this book. So yeah, it's okay overall. So I just read Creepy Cat and I'll show you some of the illustrations. Man, this is just weird, and not in a way that I'm into. I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I can't really follow any sort of story or thread. Like the illustrations are cool, but yeah, this was just not my style. Hello. So I just read And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer by Fredrik Backman. It's a very short, sweet tale about a grandfather who's starting to lose his memory, his mind. I'm guessing it's Alzheimer's. And he's talking to his grandson, trying to prepare him for what's to come. And the way it was written was lovely. The way that he talked about how it is in his mind and how he's forgetting things was really well done. It did pull on the heartstrings. I didn't cry. I was sort of hoping I would cry, but I didn't. But otherwise, I still really, really enjoyed it. And then I read Grey Witch, which is the 5th in the Black Hat Bureau. I gave this 3 stars, and that was being generous. I can no longer stand in this series. There is a friend of the main character, Rue, who's a Grey Witch. Her friend, Clay, is a golem, and he has been cock-blocking her and her relationship with her mate, so she's bonded to her mate, throughout this whole series. And this is the 5th installment, and he's still doing things like she will sit on her partner's lap, and he will come and take her off her partner's lap. Her partner will go into a bedroom and lock the door so they can get some sexy times going, and he will bash the door down. They cannot touch each other without him intervening. And I'm sorry, but if a friend of mine tried to pull me off my partner's lap and stop us from being physically intimate, I would punch them in the throat. Like, they wouldn't be my friend anymore. It's so gross and disgusting. He's still doing it. These are grown adults, like really old adults. So I cannot read the series anymore. I remember in the 4th one, I had this issue and I'm like, he needs to stop. He's not stopping. And it's just too frustrating for me to see these adults allow this other golem man dude to stop them from like holding hands and kissing. And I'm like, no. So I will not be continuing the series, even though it was interesting. I'm out. Hello. So I just read A Forest of Stars and I gave it 3 stars. Hey, Sylvie. And it's about a woman in a modern world who gets kidnapped by a Fey king and is forced to compete in this tournament to become his queen. He has never been with anybody for like 300 years and people can't touch him, but lo and behold, she can touch him, and it was very average. The story premise was cool, but it just wasn't executed well. I found it very basic, bland. It rushed through everything so quickly, so extremely fast-paced, but in an unsatisfying way. So I will not be continuing with the series. I love you. Oh, Willow. Okay, so let's talk about the final books that I read for this week. So I read The Invisible Light of Addie Larue. So I gave this 4.75 stars. It was almost a 5, but not quite. So this is about a woman who is pretty unsatisfied with her lot, doesn't want to be forced into a marriage, and she ends up making a deal with the devil. And her deal encompasses her having immortality. So she is ageless, she stops aging, but no one remembers her. So she is invisible, she cannot leave a mark. The second she's out of sight, whoever has met her has already forgotten her. She is unable to say her name. And yeah, this book has a love story in it. I personally wasn't into her romance with the other human. I felt like because of their respective conditions that it was more a love of convenience, and literally they could only sort of be together. They couldn't be with other people at that time. So I wasn't really buying their romance, and they weren't together that long. I think if they didn't have their own conditions that happened to click, that maybe they wouldn't have even hooked up. Her relationship with the devil was the one that I was definitely far more interested in. I don't know, I'm going to say that it's a spoiler now. So I'm going to timestamp this, you can skip this spoilery bit. I don't really think it is, but just in case, you can just skip to the next bit. So her relationship with Luke, I found a lot more fascinating. I really didn't like the ending. That's why I did not give this 5 stars. Her desire to exact revenge upon Luke, so to speak, didn't really jive with me. Like this is a being who isn't even human, who has somehow fallen for a human. He literally makes exceptions for her that he's never made for anybody in all of his existence. He allows her to bargain for, I've forgotten his name, for the other dude's, deal, so that his deal is broken, and he accepts. And we all know now that he's not going to really take her soul because he's in love with her. And people might say, yeah, but he made it so hard for her and all of her suffering. But that is the point. He is like a demon, a devil, or an old god, whatever you want to call him. He's supposed to make it difficult so that she relents and gives him her soul. That's what he's done to everybody, and he's made no exceptions. But then obviously over the many years, he starts to take her away. He takes her away from war. Like he does save her multiple times from further suffering when he's really not meant to. So for me, it's just like, she doesn't think that he loves her, but I do think he does. Like he's trying so hard, and he's not human. It doesn't come easily to him. This is all new for him, but he just wants to be with her. He wants to alleviate her suffering. He gave her a home, and people are like, well, why doesn't he just take her deal off the table straight away? I think eventually he would. I think if he's capable of doing it without having to strike another bargain, I think he would take her curse away. But then again too, she can't fully be remembered forever, because then people will know that she's an immortal, and that's problematic. So he might say people remember you for 10 years or something. But yeah, I liked their relationship, and I just felt like she was just so filled with so much pride and stubbornness. That was the biggest issue between them. She was just so proud and stubborn, and she always wanted to win, and she always felt like it was a game. But I just really don't think, like I said, that he really was playing the same game as her. It's like he was in a very vulnerable position to all of a sudden find himself loving a human being that's meant to be indebted to him, and that he's meant to reap her soul. So I really love the relationship, but because of that whole ending, and like I said, I didn't buy her with the other guy because of his curse and her curse. They could only be with each other. And I feel like if you take those parameters away, that they maybe wouldn't have even hooked up. Like, she wasn't that interested in him to begin with. She just stole the book and was trying to steal some more books. And same thing with him. Like, I don't think he would have been interested in her if they didn't, you know, he didn't realize that she didn't get all glazed in the eye. So, and they were only together for a couple of months. So I don't feel like it's, you know, the love of a lifetime. I feel like hers, Luke's love, is like extraordinary. But that's why it wasn't a 5-star rating for me. It was so close though, but I did absolutely adore it. Another reason that it wasn't 5 stars was because I do feel like it could have been condensed. V.E.Schwab really got into the nitty-gritty of the characters. There is so much backstory, so much detail, so intricate. Like, you really understand everything that they do, but because of that, the book is quite hefty, and I feel like maybe for the sake of pacing, it could have been cut down a little bit. And next I read Vicious by V.E.Schwab. I sort of thought after The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I'd check out some more of their works. I gave this 3.5 stars. For me, it's about these two friends who went to university together, and one of them, Eli, has this thesis and experiment on how to make extraordinaries, which are people who have like superhuman powers. And they both undergo the experiment and they both develop these powers, but Vincent ends up in jail thanks to Eli, and it's sort of about him wanting to exact revenge upon Eli, who believes himself to almost be like a god later in life. I liked the cast of characters. I just couldn't stop thinking of Vincent as Megamind, and he's going back to Metrocity, I think it was Merit City, to, you know, defeat Metro Man or Eli. Like, I just kept seeing that in my head. So it was almost farcical, even though this book was quite dark. There was just this comical element in my head about it. And I'm like, Megamind's, you know, the villain that doesn't want to be a hero but kind of is. But yeah, I did enjoy it. It was fun. It wasn't anything like amazing, but it was a good time. The characters were really interesting, and yeah, I did enjoy it. But for me, just, I don't know, it just felt like all these other sort of like movies and things. I think it's just the superhero element, so to speak, that yeah, just sort of took me out of it a little bit. Then I read Kiss Her Once for Me, and I DNF'd this bitch. I'm going to go on a rant now. This book was touted as the protagonist being Bi and Demi. I am Bi and Demi. And now Demi is the like label or whatever that I have had the most issue with in dating. I've been on a lot of first dates and very few second dates because of my demisexuality. Basically for me, it is that I don't feel sexual attraction or want to participate in any sexually intimate activities with someone until like I basically am in love with them, until I'm in a committed, trusting relationship. And sometimes though, that switch just doesn't get flicked. Like, I might date someone for weeks and weeks and I'll love them, but it's platonic. I just don't get the switch flicked. But yeah, so it's something that I've had to bring up immediately. Like, look, if you want to kiss and all this, these are things that take me quite a long time to want to do, if at all. And so it's a bit of a risk for the person I'm dating in regards to whether or not we are going to be intimate in that way. So I understand why a lot of people are like, yeah, no, because I know regular allosexuals, whatever, can feel sexual attraction immediately and end up wanting to act on that sexual attraction. Whereas for me, it's either comes or it doesn't, and I have no control, zero control. I can be very physically attracted to someone, but the wanting to kiss them and that just doesn't happen. And I, like, no matter how physically attracted they come to kiss me, I will like turn my head. It's just something that I just don't have control over. So I really wanted to read a romance with a woman, in this case, who has to navigate that when dating people. However, you start out this book learning that she had a one-night stand with a woman she'd known for a few hours and then ghosted her. And I was like, what? Huh? What? I'm not saying that demisexuals can't have a one-night stand, but I think that would be the extraordinarily rare case. Like for instance, I just don't read books that have instant sexual activity because I just don't relate to it. Like it's not the way I am sort of wired. So I naturally prefer slow burn romances, and this was not it. So that just really upset me. And for a second I thought, maybe I'm getting demisexuality wrong. Maybe I'm not a demi. And then I looked it up and I'm like, no, I am. And instantly like hooking up with someone that way and then ghosting, it's just not really our MO. So that upset me. The book, the way it was written, wasn't great. The characters were just ridiculous. Everyone was like blaming Ellie for everything. And I did not like the romance. Like, she ends up meeting with that chick she had a one-night stand with again. And I just wanted to vomit. Like, I just didn't like it. So I DNF'd it. That being said, if anybody knows of a book that has a demi character in it, please let me know, because I would love to see more representation of that I feel like is a bit more authentic. Then I read And Even Though I Knew the End. So this is like a historical piece with a woman as the main character who is a queer woman in a queer relationship at a time when that is definitely not okay. It's a world with like warlocks and magic and demons and angels, more heavily focused on the demons and angels. And she has been shunned from like her previous coven for this deal that she made. And she ends up in this like war with like demons and angels and all that sort of thing. I absolutely loved the angel character. Like I think it was Hiro, I can't quite remember. I loved their perspective. I wish there was more from their point of view. It was a very quick read, very fast. I did enjoy it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it enough. And then I read Flowers for Algernon. So this is about an intellectually disabled man who agrees to do this experiment that is supposed to increase his intelligence and IQ. He does it with this mouse named Algernon, and he's asked to keep like a record, a report, a diary of his experiences. So you see it from the start where he has like a lot of trouble spelling, huge grammar mistakes. Like it's very easy to see that he's not grasping certain concepts or things that are happening and how he's viewing the world. I found it fascinating to see how that changed. So for instance, his friendships, how he saw them when he was very severely intellectually disabled to when he was extremely intelligent, like to the point he ends up superseding the intelligence of the scientist that started the experiment. He ends up like wresting the experiment from them and doing it himself. So it was fascinating to see the change and the lenses, how he viewed the world changed, and he struggles with connecting with people while intellectually disabled, but also when he was incredibly intelligent. So it was fascinating. It was extremely sad. I can't say why, but you just see through the graduation of his journal entries, like the different things that he's experiencing, and it is heartbreaking in the end. And it sort of brings up the question of how much consent can someone who's intellectually disabled really give in regards to participating in these medical experiments, and also like how people treat others based on their intelligence, whether they're extremely intelligent or whether they're intellectually disabled. So it was fascinating to read and I enjoyed myself. Now on to my next week's TBR. So this will be the last week that I do like a week reading vlog. After that, I'm going to wrap up my year in reading. So all of my favorite books, all of the worst books. This week, I've already started reading The Rabbit Hutch, which is very interesting. I won't say more than that, but it's definitely different to anything I've read before. I'm also going to probably read The Love Hypothesis. I'm trying to see if there are any other contemporary romances besides Emily Henry and besides the Dead Romantics that I like. So I thought I'd give it a go because it's supposed to be Raylo, and look, I was a Raylo shipper, not because of their characters. I did not ship them because I thought the characters were excellent together. No, I shipped them because I thought the actors who played those characters had insane chemistry, and obviously they weren't hooking up in real life, so I wanted to see them, you know, kiss on screen. So I thought I'd give that a go, and I'm going to read Nolan, and I'm going to read some other books. I'll put some book pictures up here of what I think I might be able to get to this week, even though obviously this week is Christmas. It's going to be pretty hectic, but I think I'll still be reading because that tends to be what I want to do now in all my free times, just to sit down and read a great story. So I hope that you're having a gorgeous morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And as always, stay wild, Star Child.